Today it comes from Felicia. Felicia is out of Illinois. Felicia says, my credit scores are wildly different on the three credit bureaus and why. Well, first of all, thank you very much, Felicia. I appreciate you contacting me. We had a little back and forth, and I want to say this. Well, first of all, that question is very open ended, and it's impossible for me to answer that question without some additional information. So, of course, upon further conversation with Felicia, going back and forth, what I found out was that all of her credit bureaus, the three credit bureaus, TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian, they are not reporting all of the same information. So in this case, a very positive account for her was not reporting on one of the credit bureaus. And so that is the reason why I believe that that particular credit bureau score is much, much lower than the other two. So it's important that you make sure that all three of your credit bureaus report that information on all of your accounts, especially if it's a very good account. So that was hurting her because one of the credit bureau did not have the information that they should have had on there, which would help boost her credit score. Now, in her situation, and in another situation regarding her credit as well, her she had another account that was not being reported on one of the other credit bureaus as well, but this account was not a particularly good account. So since this one wasn't particularly good, my advice was to go ahead and just leave that alone. So if it's only reporting on one of the credit bureaus and it's not one of your better accounts, it's behind right now, it was behind just 2 months ago, you're still behind, or it's a collection or a charge off, but it's reporting, for example, it's reporting on TransUnion, but not reporting on Equifax or Experian, I suggest that you leave it alone. Don't go and put a bad account on one of your other ones because it's going to bring your score down. And you don't want your score to come down at all. So I'm going to suggest that you leave that particular one alone. That's not going to be good for you. So this particular example from Felicia goes to show you that you need to get all three of your credit bureaus and take a look at them and go through them line by line. And this is why I'm doing the show today, so you know what to look for. You want to get them and you want to go through it line by line. So that is www.annualcreditreport.com. That is where you want to go ahead and get your credit reports and go through each one of them line by line and make sure that the information is correct on all three of them. But if you have a bad account, again, leave that bad account alone. You don't want that information on your credit report because what we're trying to do most of the time is get bad information off. You don't want to alert the other credit bureaus that there's something going on with that particular account. Now, regarding that positive account that wasn't reporting on all of three of the credit bureaus, what you want to do is contact the lender. You don't have to contact the credit bureau because they're not going to be able to go ahead and put that on your credit bureau by themselves. So you want to contact the actual lender. Say if the lender is, say, Chase, and they weren't reporting one of your credit cards, and you have a good long-standing credit card with minimum balance on it and a high limit. You want that on all three of your credit bureaus. So you want to contact Chase in this particular example and have them place that on all three of your credit bureaus. They may have just left it off by mistake. Maybe something. Now, it wouldn't be Chase's case because any place that's a larger entity, a larger lending institution, they typically or generally report to all three, although they are not obligated to do so. So no place is obligated to report to all three. They can decide, I really only want to deal with Equifax, so they only submit their information to Equifax. But typically, they'll report to all three because it's good business for them as well. So they are not obligated to do so, but you can give them a call, let them know that it's missing from one of your reports, and let them go ahead and add it to that report for you, especially if it's a good account for you. And then you want to check back. You want to check your credit report in the next 30 days or so. I'm going to say 30 to 45 days. You want to check your credit report again and make sure that that information is actually transferred onto your credit report and is done correctly. And this is something that I did not talk about with Felicia, but I'm thinking about it now. Let's talk a little bit about authorized users. I'm a big advocate of being an authorized user. If you don't know what one of those is, an authorized user is, it's not your credit card. It's somebody else's. It's your mom's. It's your cousin's. It's your husband's credit card. You become an authorized user on that particular card. They add you to the card. Now, you're not financially obligated to make the payments on the card, but you get all of the benefits of them having a good, positive credit history with them. Sometimes places are not adding the authorized user portion to your credit report for whatever reason. And so if you give them a call and you say, I want to add so and so to my particular card, and they don't ask for any of their personal information, like we talked about before, that would be on your credit report, their birth date or social security number, full name, all of those things, then typically it's not going to be added. You want to make sure that they ask that information and you ask them, will this go on this person's credit report? So you want to make sure that that's the case when you're contacting them as well. So I just want to throw that little extra out there. So Felicia, thank you so very, very much. I appreciate you for contacting me. We had a very good conversation, and I hope that was helpful for you in regards to getting those things done on your credit report. All right. So look, let's get back into the rest of the show. Felicia, you are officially a part of the 800 Credit Score Man Show family. Thank you very much. And if you have questions, contact me. Contact me at 800creditscoreman@gmail.com. I will answer your question directly, and then you may become part of the 800 Credit Score Man Show yourself. 800 Credit Score Man Show. You can also catch me on Twitter as @creditscore_man. On Instagram, I'm 800 Credit Score Man. And join my Facebook group, Credit Score Comeback, as well. Join that Facebook group. They get a lot of information throughout the week talking about credit and how to improve it. So the question of the day was brought to you by Cute as a Cupcake, Cupcakery and Bake Shop, where the cupcakes are more than just cute. They're delicious. And it's located at 2008 West 81st in Maryville, Indiana. Get by Cute as a Cupcake and tell them that the 800 Credit Score Man sent you. All right, so let me do a couple of more shout outs before I get into the rest of the show. So I wanted to shout out Yolanda Pitts. Yolanda Pitts, she celebrated a birthday on Friday as well, so happy birthday to you, Yolanda. I want to give a big shout out to one of my frat brothers, Charles Freeman. Happy birthday to you, Yo. His birthday is today, so happy birthday. I also want to give a shout out to somebody's birthday who was today as well, and that's Kia Clinton. So happy birthday to you, Kia. And one of my homies that I've known for a long time, we went to church together long time ago when we were shorties. I want to give a big shout out to Alex Carter as well. So happy birthday to all of you guys. And thank you so much for listening to the 800 Credit Score Man Show. So let's jump into what else are we talking about in regards to what's on your credit report and what to look for. So we already talked about the fact that you have that identifying information. And then you also have your accounts and what you're looking for in those accounts. Also, let's talk about your credit inquiries. So, of course, they're on your credit report too. Why are they on your credit report? Who knows? The real reason they're on your credit report is so the lenders can see who else have you applied for credit. That's why they're on there. Now, they are a negative for you. There's absolutely nothing positive for you and your score as a consumer to have inquiries on your credit report. And what you'll see on there are all the people that you've applied for credit with on your credit report under the inquiries portion. Those are called hard inquiries, and they do affect your credit score negatively. Every time you apply for credit somewhere, it's going to drop your score a few points. I typically see that it's 4 or 6, sometimes just 2 points. Talking to Experian, they say it can drop your credit score 5 to 10 points per inquiry. Another reason why you want to only apply for credit when you absolutely need it. Okay, so then let's talk about this as well when it comes to your inquiries. They stay on your credit report for 2 years and 2 years only. But now with the newer versions of FICO, and 90% of lenders use FICO. So with the newer version, which is FICO 9, they no longer take your inquiries into consideration after 12 months. Even though it'll stay on your credit report, they only take it into consideration for 12 months. So know that, and then they should fall off. If you have inquiries on there and it's past this 24-month period and they haven't fallen off, then you should make an inquiry or a dispute about that with that individual credit bureau. If you're looking at TransUnion does a great job of telling you the month that your inquiry will fall off your credit report. Now, here's the thing. I mentioned FICO 9, and they're not taking the inquiries into consideration if you're on FICO 9. Some lenders are not using FICO 9. Some of them are still stuck using FICO 3, which is a disadvantage, in my opinion. A disadvantage for you, me, for all of us, the consumers. It's a disadvantage because between FICO 3 and FICO 9, it's just not a regular upgrade. These have been different things that they've changed over time that have been positive for the consumer, which helped you increase your credit scores. And I would venture to say that if you went into the car dealership and you asked them, hey, so, which version of FICO are you using? Are you going to pull my credit report on? I would venture to say that your salesman doesn't know that. And maybe even the finance guy doesn't know that. They may know that, yes, we use Equifax or we use Experian, but they probably won't know which version of FICO they're on. But the latest version is the best version for you because there's been a lot of changes, positive changes for us over the last couple of years. So if you get at the FICO 3, and people call me all the time and say, hey, my credit score says one thing, but then when I went and applied somewhere else, it said it was something different. That could be the difference in there because they're using an older, outdated version of it. And I think it must cost them money. The only reason they're not bumping up to FICO 6 or FICO 7 or FICO 8. If you're on FICO 3, it's a long way between FICO 3 and FICO 9. It's totally, totally different, but it works best for us, the consumers, to be at FICO 9. All right, so let's move on. So the next thing that's on your credit report is public records. So you got, if you file bankruptcy, that's going to be on there. And until recently, civil judgments and tax liens were also there in the public records portion. Now, speaking of judgments and tax liens, so I told you guys July the 1st, your civil judgments and your tax liens, whether they were state or federal, are supposed to start coming off of your credit report, which could raise your credit score anywhere from 20 to 40 points. So I have been in contact with a lot of people regarding this issue. Again, in that Facebook group, Credit Score Comeback, we've discussed this back and forth. Some people have had their civil judgments and their tax liens fall off their credit report. Some it happened as early as July the 2nd, July the 3rd. Others, it has not happened as of yet. So I want to say hold fast. I don't know how they're rolling it out, but hopefully it'll come off. If it doesn't come off in the next 30 days, 45 days, then I need you to contact the credit bureau. You may be able to just simply do a dispute, or if you actually call them on the phone, you can just tell them what the situation is, and hopefully they'll be able to get that squared away for you, all right? So look, make sure you do that and keep an eye on it. And here's something that's like basically in the news right now. Now, you all know that like O.J. Simpson was just released on parole. O.J. Simpson has a civil judgment against him filed by the Goldman family, and they won that civil case that has been on his credit report. As of July the 1st, that should be coming off his credit report. Now, I don't think it makes a difference necessarily for the juice, but if it was you or me, it might make a big difference for us. And so having those civil judgments and those tax liens come off of your credit report is big, big news, and it's very, very positive for us all. So keep a lookout and an eye on that as well. And the fifth thing that's on your credit report, the fifth category is collections. So, of course, you have your collections on there, and we've talked about this at length in the past. And let me reiterate, only erroneous or inaccurate information can technically come off of your credit report. However, there are ways to work around some of these things. So for professional help, contact me, 800creditscoreman@gmail.com. And I never mention my website, but you can go to my website, www.creditscoreman.com as well. But send me an email at creditscorerman at gmail.com, and let's talk about